Hello, everyone. Welcome to Queerly Recommended. I am Kris Bryant, and I am back as always with Tara Scott.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 17. I feel like we should give y'all a little bit of a warning. We usually record these on a Sunday morning when we're all like bright-eyed and rested, but it is a Monday evening that we're recording on. And if you have been joining us all along, you know what happens on Monday evenings. We get a little bit sillier than usual.
We're tired. We've worked all day, and we are just a little slap happy.
I mean, you worked all day. I worked very hard at being on vacation today.
Vacation mode. That's right. Good for you.
So good. So we went on our first date since before lockdown last year. We were able to find somebody to watch our kids. It was amazing. We went to this diner that we love the food, and I got this Eggs Benedict that was pornographic because first of all, it's on a croissant.
Ooh.
So they cut it in half and they do each of the eggs on a half of a croissant. But I got mine with Montreal smoked meat.
Yeah, I'm out on that.
Oh no, it's delicious.
I'm out on the meat.
Oh, that's right. You're vegetarian.
Well, no, I eat poultry, but I don't eat like pork or.
So you could get the one. They have one there.
It's
still on the croissant. They have one. It has chicken and avocado and cheese.
Okay.
I think they called it a California something. Frankly, I think that's a bit of a stretch, but you know what? Dare to dream. Call it what you want.
I'm in. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. Food porn.
No, it was good. It was food porn. I quite enjoyed it.
Did it feel weird for you to be out in public without your masks?
Yes.
Or did you have to wear your mask to the table and then take it off?
No, we did not have to do that because Calgary basically was like, not just Calgary, all of Alberta. Woo, we're ripping off all the restrictions of everything. And it's like, oh, cool, guys. Cool.
2 more days and then it's on lockdown.
Well, our premier pushed very, very hard for 70% of eligible Albertans. So that would have been everybody over the age of 12 at that point, I think. I'm trying to think of when they started doing the 12 to 18 group. It was definitely at least everybody under the age of 18. 70% of Albertans getting at least their first dose because they wanted to hold the Calgary Stampede. I don't know if everybody knows what the Stampede is, if they've heard of it. I think the equivalent is like a state fair. My brother's girlfriend is American. She lived here in Calgary for a while, and that's kind of, she was like, oh, it's all the same like food vendors and all this that we see at our things. And there's like rodeo events and stuff like that. It usually ends up in the news because like a horse dies during the chuck wagon races or something. Yeah, it's really gross. It's really, really gross. It's, to be honest, is a terrible part of our culture. Or like, I think it was about 5 years ago, there was this young woman that got videoed like literally on the Stampede grounds having a three-way. And that, yeah, like it's a fucking wild, it is a wild time. I remember my first Stampede while working at the company that I'm working at now. So it was 5 years ago. And the building at that point was like 3 blocks from the Stampede grounds. We've since moved to a different building, but where my team sat was by the back windows and we could see out and nobody could see in. It was facing an alley. And there was this young couple that decided that that was a great place that they were going to fuck. And we were like, oh my God, what is happening? Because it's during the workday. And so this person on my team, I think she was like 23, 24. She like runs to the window, just pounds on the window, and these people freak out.
Well, yeah.
And ran away. So, or that's also the time like, again, same year, somebody went to go pick up lunch and they're like, I just saw somebody doing coke on the street. Like, it's just.
That's just, see, for me, like where I live in the Midwest. So you say Stampede, I'm thinking something maybe totally different. Maybe.
What kind of different are you thinking? Because like I said,
like we're talking like cows, bulls.
Yeah.
Stampede. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like very cowboyish.
Yes, it's very, very cowboyish. That's like everybody wears their cowboy hats and gear to the office that week.
Oh, really?
Wow. And, yeah. I mean, there are some things that are really cool and great about it. You know, like we have a parade and that's pretty cool. There's pancake breakfasts that spring up all around the city for the week. That's fun. But it's very like, yeah, there's a lot of debauchery and
That's so weird to
STIs
me.
that go around
Yeah.
and just like it's gross. And so our premiere was hell bent on bringing it back to Calgary, and I don't want to shock you, but the Scott family did not go this year.
What? You missed out?
We missed out. Actually, our kids have never been. They are 6 and 9 years old.
Sounds like it's a good idea that they don't.
Right. Well, we thought last year might be the year. They do have like a family day and they do have like family friendly events and
That's
stuff.
good.
And so we thought we would take them last year. And then I don't know if you heard, but a global pandemic happened.
Living the life.
Yeah. And so even with they're like, no, we have ways to make it safe. And we, Neil and I both agreed, absolutely not. Not something the Scott family is interested in, especially while our kids cannot be vaccinated. And I just saw on Twitter today that there's been a massive spike in COVID, specifically in Calgary. The rest of the province has very, very low. But in the last week, they identified 500 new cases when they were identifying like not that much before.
You know what? We're about ready to go on lockdown again because it's just gotten out of control. Down
Is
here in
that
the United
specifically
States.
your state or is that
I think
all
just
over?
everywhere. For sure, my state sucks. It's
Mm.
so bad. And I think we're like 47th out of 50 on as far as getting vaccinated.
Oh my
Our
God.
state is only like 40%. It's because nobody wants to do it. They all think it's the government putting something in them. They're believing
Oh
all the
no.
TikTok videos and stuff.
Is your governor making it worse?
My governor sucks.
Well, you have Josh Hawley, right?
Well, Mike Parson is the governor.
Oh,
and
what does Josh Hawley do?
He's a representative, and
I mean, he's
just,
an asshole.
Yes, they both are. It's like, even we get rid of Trump and like two more spat out, and these two are take your pick: Ted Cruz and Mike Parson, or
Barf.
Yeah, or replace one with Josh Hawley.
The Florida guy. Who's the Florida one?
I don't even know. But
DeSantis? I don't know. I'm Canadian. I don't need to know.
Exactly. All I know is that, like, I was just talking to the boss before I left work today, or the boss's wife, and she said that, yeah, we're probably going to go. I'm never going to go back to work full time because of like everybody. So even in my office. So here's the deal. So one of the ladies over in accounting, she is pregnant. So we were talking about giving her a baby shower because it's like, oh, cool, that'd be nice. Because we've had several baby showers. We've had several babies born at the company, not at the company, but work at the company.
It was a wild day.
It was
very messy.
So we decided, I'm on the events committee. I got like kind of bullied into it because only I get to do what I want to do for Christmas. So because of that, I have to join the events committee. So like, here's something about me, because I love Christmas, and starting next month, we're going to be, I'm going to be talking about Christmas movies.
Are you serious? Are you going to start it next month?
Yeah, I'm going to start it next month. Sure.
Oh my God, I love this. Y'all, I hope you're ready to hear about Christmas movies for the rest of the year.
Yes. Well, those will probably be like on my what are you watching type thing.
Yes.
But anyway, so I went over to accounting, and I kind of sneaked this woman. She works in a cubicle. I have an office. Mostly everybody has an office there, but we do have some cubes. And so I'm like, are you comfortable with me in your cube? Because she's had so many issues with this pregnancy that she was advised not to get the vaccine.
Oh,
so,
no.
So she doesn't have the vaccine. And so I'm like, are you comfortable with me in your space? Because I've had, I've been vaccinated. I just want to know what you're, since I never see her because we're staggered because we're on different teams. Yeah. And so I just kind of wanted to, I was going to talk to one of my engineers, and he was busy. So I was killing time because I was literally standing outside of her cube, and I'm like, well, let me turn around and say hi and introduce myself. Hi, I worked with you for 3 years. So,
nice to meet you.
One of those where if I saw her out in public, I would not know who she was. I'd be like, she looks familiar. We have 30 people in our office, but anyway.
Oh my God.
So funny. I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, she isn't vaccinated. And we have 5 people in our office out of 24 who actually work in the office. 5 of them refuse to get the vaccine.
Oh no.
So then when I was talking to the boss's owner, I'm like, look, we can't do this baby shower because we have to keep her safe. And half of the women do not have the vaccine. So we're going to have to figure this out. People are going to have to start wearing masks. People are going to have to be required to wear masks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't want to jeopardize her or the baby. Come on.
No, that's where it'd be so nice. Just before we started recording this, you were talking about what the president of France
Yes.
has been saying. You
Yes.
want to tell people about that in case they don't
Right.
know?
So what he's doing is it's like a vaccination passes. So basically it's like, if you don't want to get the vaccine, great, you stay home. And the people who do have the vaccine, you get to go to the restaurants and you get to go to the movie theaters. And so you just have to
Mm-hmm.
show that you just have to show your vaccination card to get into places. And he's just like, this is what we're doing now. We're not doing it the other way. We're doing it
Yes.
this way. So we're
Yes.
rewarding the people who are getting the vaccine, not, the other way around. So that's pretty
Good.
cool. I wish we would do that here.
I saw somebody on Twitter say, can we stop calling them vaccination passports and just call them what they actually are, which is vaccination records?
Right.
And I was like,
Records.
oh, that's so brilliant. Because it's true. That is all it is. It's just your record.
Yeah.
Use
And
it.
in the military, my whole life, we had them all over. I mean, we always had to have them. We had a little book.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I've had this vaccine. I've had this vaccine. So
Yeah.
just to get into the different countries. So I'm floored by the stupidity of my country.
Well,
but I hear
kind
it's
of all
everywhere.
over.
It's not just, yeah, exactly. So, but I can't speak for other people. I can only speak for my own country because I'm here. I'm experiencing it.
Mhm.
I'm just like, ugh.
It's fair. It's fair. Well, we want to give a quick shout out because since the last episode aired, someone supported us through Ko-fi. And we just really want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. For anyone who's
Yes.
not familiar yet, Ko-fi is a site where you can financially support your favorite content creators like us. Unfortunately, because we don't know who sent it, because you didn't leave a name or a message, we still want to just thank you so much. All the same, we truly do appreciate all the support because it helps us run this show, keep everything going smoothly. So thank you, anonymous, awesome person.
Thank you very, very much. Yes. And it's listener question time.
Hooray!
Woo! Queer weirdo human being asks, do any of us, I guess, do we?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do we read any books and like them way more than we expected to in the beginning? Go into a book, like, oh, I'm excited to read this. And then get done with it. You're like, oh my gosh, this was the greatest thing ever.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's just leave the answer there.
Yes. Okay. Next question.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I do find that happens. Now, where it usually happens for me, I'll be honest, is typically with romance. I mean, it can happen with other genres for sure, but I think especially with romance, because if it's a premise that I've seen before, but maybe I pick it up anyway because it's like, oh, I like this trope. Like, oh, I like celebrity romances, or oh, I like age gap. Especially when you, I'm trying to figure out how to say this without bagging romance, because it's literally the opposite of what I want to do. Like, I love romance, but also you can sometimes feel like you're reading the same book, just
different characters, different situations.
Right. Not every book is special, but then you pick up a romance thinking, yeah, this will be fine. This will be a good read. And then it just like knocks your freaking socks off. And that is what I love. And then when that happens, it's usually because there's some kind of a twist that I just didn't expect. Yes. Maybe it's the chemistry between the characters. Like that, I think last time I was talking about Change of Pace by KJ. The chemistry in that was such a surprise to me. Like, it was so wonderful that I was like, ooh, yes. And that one, like, I liked way more than I expected because the chemistry was just like so good. Character journeys, like when you really see characters change and grow in ways that are really compelling, but also like really believable, and you just like can empathize with them and join them on that journey. So those are the things for me that will make me like a book. Or if it's just like, say it's an author that I've never read before and I'm taking a chance and like maybe I've heard good things. This happened a lot with me last year with YA books. So there was You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. Fucking loved it. First person. That character is hilarious. Cracked my shit up all over the place.
You had home run after home run after home run.
I had
all of your you had a
last year. Yeah, I had a really good year. Same thing, Girl Serpent Thorn, which was more of a fantasy, like it's based on Persian mythology and history. But Girl Serpent Thorn by Melissa Bashardoust. I apologize profusely if I pronounced your last name wrong. I doubt you're going to listen to this, but just in case. Also very surprising because it was like kind of dark and it gets to this point where you see the lead, you see her figure out, oh shit, I have a choice here if I want to be like the villain or not. And I was like, ooh, what's happening here? What's this going to do? So yeah, I love that. What about you, Kris? Are there any books that you like? Do you find that at all? Do you read books and then you're like, whoa, this is wow. Like I thought this would be good, but holy shit, everybody, you need to go get it.
I like it when you give me reading assignments, because I'm like, okay, there's a reason. Let's read this. So I go into a book with zero expectations. I mean, I know that there are certain authors I'm just going to like. And recommendations, I do receive a lot of recommendations from readers that are like, you really need to try this book. Give it a try. It's really, really good. For me, it's always, this is so weird. For me, it's plot. It's like, I wasn't expecting that. I feel like I can fill in gaps. I feel like, and I don't know if that's just my writer mind filling in the gaps. If I find like a character falls flat, I don't know if I like in my head just kind of like boost her up a little bit by creating stuff. But it's always like if I'm taken aback by the plot, I'm like, oh wow, that was a surprise. If something like I wasn't expecting, like for example, the one thing I can think of is Strawberry Summer. The one thing in there that I wasn't expecting, I'm like, ah! It was one of those where it was completely plot driven, and I was so surprised and shocked by it. I can't say it because we're recording and I want to give it away. Come on.
There's a part of me that wants you to say it and then just have Neil put a sound effect over it. People were so mad when we did that about the drag queen names. And we bleeped out that one. I told one friend, I'm not going to lie, I cracked and I told my friend Ed, who he is so sweet. He has been like a fan and reader in the lesbian community for, I don't know. Ed, how long has it been? He's going to listen to this later and he'll let me know.
He'll say 12 years.
No, it's not going to be that long. Probably about 4 or 5 years. And he listens to the podcast and he was like, come on. How bad could it be? How bad could this drag queen name really be? And then I told him and he was like, all right then.
So but you know what? We have such clever listeners that like within seconds of it posting, people were like, oh yeah, just do this. Google this, Google that. And like Wendy, like she figured it out right away and she like messaged me and she's like, hi, blah, blah, blah. So she knew right away what it was. So, but yeah. So this is going to be one of those situations where I'll tell you after it.
That's true. Actually, massive, massive plot twists. There's one in, I'm saying this very slowly as I try to think of the name
about it.
From the, I like that we both do this. The Goodmans by Claire Ashton. Have you read it?
Yes.
Okay. The mother.
Are we giving it away?
No, I'm just saying the twist around all of that. I felt like I was punched in the gut when I read that. It took me like 3 days to deal with the feelings that I got from that particular twist. I think that's the most impactful of any, in a good way, I would say, because she also wrote a book called something Mrs. Hamilton. What the fuck is it called?
It sounds familiar. I can't think of the name now, the full name.
But there's a twist in there.
I love twists.
That was also gut wrenching, but in like a oh god kind of way, not in like a I didn't see it. I mean, there is a I didn't see it coming, but yeah, that one is much more uncomfortable.
If I had a pen, I would like write it on a piece of paper, but because like I was so late to this podcast today that I just feel like
we're all just doing our best, Kris.
We are. You're
just doing your best. It's fine. You can tell me when it's over.
Yes, I will. The
thing is, I've read the book. I just don't remember what you're talking about.
Well, for me, it's kind of like
it came out.
It's one of those where, I like when I escape and I pick up a romance, I need low angst, sweet, a little what?
Because she writes angst bombs. So I think everybody is like, oh yeah, Melissa Brayden, sweet romance. She seems like a really sweet person. And then you pick it up and you're like, oh and yeah, like, punch in the fucking face. Good luck. Waiting in the Wings?
Wait, no. Tangled.
Wait, is that the first one?
I think that's the first one. Right. Tangled was the first one. That was like a roller coaster. Up, down, up, down, up, down. I was like, oh my God. Okay, phew.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
that one was fine. But I think for me, so Waiting in the Wings, I think that one hit me so hard because that was one of the romances that I read in my first year of reading lesfic. And so I started reading lesfic as she started publishing. And I think her first book and your first book came out around the same time, didn't they?
Not anywhere close.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I mean, of course.
We're like 3 years apart.
Really?
Yeah, we're 3 years apart.
Okay, well, maybe she only had one book out at that point. Like, or maybe she only had that and Heart Block or something. But anyway, it was within that first year that I started reading. And I was not prepared for the breakup scene, which I don't feel like that's giving away a lot because most of Melissa Braden's books have breakups and then makeups. Like she doesn't tend to write like Chelsea Cameron. Part of why I love her books is that they don't have the breakup and then makeup. It's like tension comes from elsewhere. It's like, will these two sweet, dumb idiots figure out they're in love with each other versus get them together, break them up or whatever. But yeah, that one also, I was gutted until they got back together. And then I was like, oh, okay.
But you know what's going to happen. So it's entangled. That's what it's so it's entangled, not tangled. I'm thinking like the movie with the hair. But
very
entangled,
different.
Yeah. So
very
different. So not one tangled, but entangled. Yeah.
One has 20-foot hair.
Exactly. Blondes, but whatever.
I remember that book being good, but I don't remember much about it specifically because it was a pandemic book for me. And so there was a period last year where I was reading romance and it just wasn't hitting the same way for me. Like that was just one of my pandemic damage things. And so now I'm back to being able to read it, but I still can't read it exclusively. I read it exclusively for like almost 10 years. And then last year my brain was like, what if you didn't?
For me, it was, I actually had the time to read. My deadlines. I mean, my deadlines were hard, but I also had more time at home. I had time on my downtime, I was able to read more. So I was able to, and that was nice. I don't get to do that very often, especially like I have deadlines. I have like 4 deadlines coming up. Boom, 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 boom. Right back, month. So
I'm so excited about the one that you're writing.
Oh yeah. Forever.
Right?
Yeah. I'm excited too.
We're not going to tell people about it. We're just going to tease you. You'll hear about it later in a future podcast.
And I want to say that it's now available on Amazon to pre-order it. It's a May book of 2022. What? And it's available for pre-order.
Is this the one that takes place in another country? Or
that comes out in January of 2022.
Oh, so the one I'm excited about available. Is up for pre-order. All right. Well,
so it's available. I'm so excited. I saw that. I was like, oh! It's always a surprise when I see like a book that I'm barely writing that's available. So that's nice.
All right. So if you want to support your local lesfic author, go pre-order Kris's 2 books.
Yes. Always and forever. Always and forever. How amazing is that?
That's adorable.
Isn't that adorable?
God damn you.
You know what?
Way to go.
It wasn't even planned. Sandy pointed it out to me. She goes, "Oh, always and forever. I love that." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's right." Because it's like 2 different ideas from 2 different, like several months apart.
Yeah.
And
so funny. All right, we have one more listener question. Listen, y'all, we did warn you that it might get a little meandery and strange tonight, so please enjoy.
Right.
All right. So the next question, Jenny on Twitter has a question specifically for you, Kris. And we're going to talk about this question.
Okay.
Have you ever acted out a sex scene from one of your books with a special lady? And for her follow-up, which one? And so I'm going to say, rather than specifically answering this question, unless you'd like to, I'm not going to hold you back from your bliss.
You tell me, boss. What are we doing?
I want to know, how many times have you been asked this question or something similar about, so how much of the sex are you writing have you done?
So that is a very popular question when I'm on panels that deal with, writing the romance, writing the heat, writing sex scenes. That is a very popular question. And the answer is, no, I'm just kidding. There's no dramatic pause. I was like, Well, I mean, sex in general, I mean, every character is different, and it's different on the page and has different experiences than I do. I mean, there are some real specific things like strap-on sex. You have to have some experience with that to kind of work through the whole scene and do it in a tasteful and manageable way that's believable. So I mean, yeah, so there's some stuff that we have to try out, and some stuff you can just like we can just make believe or pull from experiences that happened years ago that I don't recall, or who with, because sex is different with every person.
That's right.
And so, yes, but not really a specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it all rolls together.
The thing that I find interesting is how that does seem to be one of the first questions that people ask when they have an opportunity to ask an author. And I just wonder, well, what questions would that person ask of a mystery author? Like,
people have you killed?
How many people, like, okay, so you probably haven't killed anybody because you're not in prison, but like, how many people have you fantasized murdering in this very specific way?
Yeah.
Or something like that, like, or sci-fi authors. How true is this? Like, nothing. It's true to nothing.
Right.
Like, I can't imagine walking up to Georgia Beers at a conference and saying, "Hey, so when you're fucking, is it like this character or like this character?" Like I just cannot. Yeah. Georgia, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I would never ask. That was the point.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because, when you write, you open yourself up. You're very vulnerable. Once your book goes out there, it's out there for everybody. It's out there for everybody to interpret the way they want to, talk about it, say whatever they want to, review it however they want to. It's kind of like a gap between a lot of readers like know me through my books. Like they feel like they know me better through my books, and they're a little personal with me. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I've occasionally, I mean, not in nearly the same degree as your other authors would, or even frankly, other celebrities who are much, much, much more famous than any of us are. But that idea of, oh, well, I've been listening to you on a podcast for a few years, so I know who you are. And it's like, okay, but I don't know who you are. Yeah. Like, I appreciate your support and your enthusiasm. That's super cool. But like, can you tell, who are you? Can you let me know? Like, most people are really, really lovely.
For sure. And they're very respectful, without a doubt. I mean, it's kind of funny because I have such a squeaky clean kind of look at you, look with your eyes, big eyes, looking at me like, what?
Now that I've gotten to know you better, and I like, for sure, I know that I don't know you the best of anybody in your life, but like, I just, now that I know you better and a little bit of the way your mind works, I love that that's your image.
It is. I have the squeaky clean, cutesy, dimple type persona, or like just how people know me. And it's so funny because like nobody slides into my DMs. It's hilarious. Everybody's like, oh, I had to delete all these messages because like these people keep sending me whatever. And I'm just like, really? So I like look at my phone. I'm like, no. Nothing there.
No boobs.
But it's great.
Today.
Yeah, no boobs. But it's actually really sweet. It's really nice because that just shows that there is a level of respect that people have for me and appreciate me. And I feel like, maybe they do see me as kind of a friend. And you don't talk like that with your, like I would never DM you a boob pic because we're friends. So
you did tell me to send you one once.
I always do when you're baked.
I was so fucking baked that you are lucky. There was a part of me that was like, should I do this? And then I was like, that's not something I do. Kris, don't ask for that. But like for a moment I was like, maybe. I don't know. Why does she want this?
I love it because you're just so cute. You're like, I'm so baked. Boob picture. You're like, okay, maybe.
Which is amazing because like you didn't actually want it, but it would have been your fault if I did.
Oh my gosh. And I love to be playful and I love having fun with, with other women in my life just because it's, celebrate us, and I love having people, being around people have the same type of humor that I have.
Yes.
But not in a crass way.
No. And in conclusion, don't DM Kris your boob pics. Thank you.
Yeah. So what that means is this squeaky clean image is still going to be squeaky clean.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So what is your favorite to add on to that, or kind of to add on to all of that? Like, because we're talking about the types of questions that authors get asked the most often.
Mhm.
What is your favorite question to get asked about your writing?
That's a tough one. That's so broad.
All
What's
right,
your
so don't
favorite?
answer it. That's fine. Or like, what
Guess.
types of questions are fun?
Well, you asked a great question last time. I think it was last episode where we talked about writing sex, or was it two
Yeah.
episodes ago? I love writing sex.
Mm-hmm.
I love the intimacy of it. I love everything, just building up to that scene, to that moment, because it's so important. The first time
Mm-hmm.
you have sex with somebody, it's an incredible experience, and you have to write about the good and sometimes the not so, the awkwardly, things
Mm-hmm.
like that happen, because very few people get it right the first time. There's still a little learning curve you have with people.
Yes.
So I love that. I love the whole learning curve and just writing and capturing the intimacy of the moment. That for me. That's what I love. I love it. It's like I'm building up
Mm-hmm.
to the sex scene in this book, and I'm so
Well, okay, so you just made me think of another romance that
oh
really surprised me. It's the first in the Tricky series by Cameron Ide. I think that's how you pronounce her last name, Eyde. I think the first one's called Tricky Wisdom. They have the worst first kiss,
oh
followed by an incredible second kiss.
nice.
And it was just so good to see that, because it's like first kisses in romance are often just like this. It's amazing. I feel the sparks. We're going to be banging later. Like, it's so good. But in this case, it was like, oh my God, that was a terrible kiss. How could it possibly be this bad? And then it was like, well, let's try again. And then it worked the second time. And I was like, yes, nice.
My worst first kiss, well, I've actually had several worst first kisses, was when they asked me afterwards, so what do you think of my kissing? Like,
Oh, and
oh,
you're just praying for the ground to open up below
right.
you.
I have to go. I'm so sorry. I have to go. Yeah.
I think it's making me need to leave this place right
Yes.
now.
Like, that is such an awkward question to ask somebody that you just kissed. Like, literally,
No,
you built up to this moment and you kissed. And so what did you think of that? Like,
that is
really?
not the time to debrief.
No, it's we're gonna go debrief about
Uh,
the situation.
Can we get a blameless postmortem here, please and thank
Right.
you? Like, what the fuck?
I was like, what is happening? Like,
No,
no, yeah,
no,
that happened
no, not
once.
into it.
No.
No. All right. So, Kris, what have you been watching or reading?
I have been watching every single thing on television.
This is exciting. Does that mean
because
you've been writing?
Because I have been writing. I have been
Mhm.
writing. It was a writing weekend for me, so that's all I did was I had the TV on the whole time. But
Mhm.
I am still continuing the Alone saga,
Good.
and I honestly can't remember if we're down. I don't. Last time it was 5, but
Mhm.
I don't know that this week they had anybody go out, so I think we're still at 5
Oh.
contestants left. So 5. I'm watching that, and then Ted Lasso started. Right?
So good. We watched it too.
Yes. So they're doing the one episode every week.
I'm not into that part.
No.
I'm not okay with that. Because we didn't watch it until the whole season was out, the first season.
Right. And then you binged it like the whole weekend. That's what and then now we got to watch it once a week. So that's where like The Handmaid's Tale is different, because they give you 3 episodes, bam, 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 and then they do the weekly. So you get that fix in real fast, and then you're like chill. So.
Oh, see, I've already got it, because I feel like I just got a little taste of A Visit with Friends, and I want to spend more time with these friends.
Right.
And the thing that I love, well, I mean, the character that I love the most, I think that's really coming out for me, is Roy Kent, because he's so grumpy, but he's so tender. And I love that. And it's been so fun seeing, because I mean, I follow a lot of romance authors on Twitter who are also writing like male-female romances. And the thing that I love is seeing all the people that are saying like, hello, take note. This is how you write a hero. Because I would read it. I don't even read male-female romances anymore, except for that one that I talked about a few episodes ago, Hang the Moon. But like, I would read a book about a Roy Kent type character, because
I would too, because like we are like cursing buddies. Like he curses as much as I do.
Yes. Oh my God.
And his little niece like taking like 1,236 pounds or whatever.
Yes. Well, and there was this clip going around of so it's him and Keely, and they've just come off of a double date with. So Keely is his girlfriend in the show. Rebecca is the like gorgeous statuesque blonde woman who owns the football team. Yeah.
Right.
And he basically tells her, don't settle for this other guy. You deserve so much better than that. And I saw the clip first, just like going around on Twitter. And I was like, oh my God, my heart, my heart. Like it's such incredible advice coming from this guy who has a voice that's kind of like gruffy. This. Like,
yeah. He refuses to show emotions, you know, and he's like, his anger is super quick fuse. But yeah, he's just a big teddy bear on the inside.
Right? He goes to yoga classes with these like 50 and 60-year-old women.
But is it yoga? No.
No.
I loved it. I loved how the episode ended.
Yes. It was so good.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Love it.
And I also watched the movie Gunpowder Milkshake because we have to talk about this.
Yes. We also saw it last weekend. What did you think about it?
Okay. So I didn't know anything about it. I just saw like first of all, Cersei's in it from Game of Thrones. Yes. So I'm in. Like I'm in, right?
Sure.
And Angela Bassett, who's like in my top 5. Like she's badass. I love her.
And who's the Asian woman? What is her name again? Michelle Yeoh. And Michelle Yeoh. Okay,
Michelle Yeoh. Yeah, she's been in a lot. So it's had a pretty decent cast.
Yeah, even the main. Oh shit, I should know her name. Jillian.
Yeah, I got nothing on that.
Karen Gillan.
Karen, she's a Karen. Stop.
I think so. Yeah, so
no,
she was
is
on.
She?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Pretty sure she is, but my phone's across the room.
I'm gonna look.
Yeah, she was on the companions on Doctor Who, and then she played what's her name in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, I'm listening. I'm also typing.
But I'm pretty sure her name is Karen.
Okay. Karen. Boo. Gunpowder Milkshake. Yeah, Karen. Jillian. Karen. She's named Karen.
And she was fine.
Look at you. She was fine. But okay, so why didn't you like it? I'll tell you why I didn't like it. Well, I loved it, but it wasn't a recommendation for me, even though people say it's queer. It just wasn't queer enough for me.
It's not. Well, I don't think it is a queer movie. I think it is a movie with queer subtext. And I think that the costuming on Angela Bassett and Michelle Yeoh was doing a lot of the queer subtext heavy lifting. I would like to give an award to those costumes and those costumes only.
Deserved it, yeah.
No, I mean, there is like an implied past relationship between Angela Bassett and Lena Headey. Is that right?
Yes.
Cersei.
And
also Michelle Yeoh and Carla how do you pronounce her last name?
Look at us. We should have been more prepared.
We're terrible at this.
This is awful.
Monday night is the night.
Okay, we have Karen Gillan.
Yeah.
It's like the GIF thing.
Right, it is.
Lena Headey, Carla Gugino?
I think so.
Gugino.
So there's also supposed to be, so like her and Michelle Yeoh are supposed to be together, right. But even then it's mostly based off of not even like a kiss on the cheek or anything like that. It's a whispering in the ear. And it's like some camera type perspective stuff. And then like a short scene resolving some stuff later on. I wish that the subtext would have actually just been fucking text. First of all, can we just call it like a lady gay gang? Because how amazing is that?
That would be, I would promote the shit out of that.
Correct.
Like that, yeah.
But everything else was like, no.
See, now I enjoyed it because it was kind of like dark, but yet whimsical. Like it was kind of like a Pulp Fiction meets Winnie the Pooh.
See, and that is actually the problem that I have with it, is that movie didn't know what genre it was. Because sometimes it was noir.
It was great for my ADD.
It was a what?
It was great for my ADD, for sure. Like, it was feeding my brain everything I needed.
No. It was giving me Dick Tracy vibes at times. Oh, yeah. Like, from that old movie. Like, I didn't hate it. And it held my attention. But I got to the end and I was like, I mean, yeah, I guess it's a movie. Like nothing felt special about it except
But
the
sometimes,
costuming.
but sometimes you just need that. Sometimes it's like why sometimes I just pick up just a fluffy romance or write a fluffy romance because sometimes you just need it and it just doesn't
Mm,
need to. It doesn't need to be heavy and weigh on you. It could just be a movie.
no, I didn't need it to be heavy and weigh on me. I wanted it to be great, like Ocean's 8. I was hoping that this was going to be the next kind
But
of like
this was a pandemic movie.
I know, but Ocean's 8 was so maybe I should just go watch Ocean's 8
That's
again.
what you should do
Speaking of
for
gay
sure.
subtext, like
Yes, we should watch it for next time. We should watch it
uh,
and talk about it.
okay, remind me because I'm going to
Okay,
forget that we
Ocean's 8.
discussed this, but I like this idea very, very much.
Okay, all right,
Yes.
all right. What about you? What are you watching? What did you watch this week or read?
All right. So I am still watching, of course I am, RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars season 6. I have to say, this season is killing it. It is so good. I think it's the best out of all the series so far this year. And I liked UK season 2. Season 13 was okay, but felt like it dragged on forever. I was not a fan of Australia. I ended up being very disappointed in Australia. But
Yeah,
no,
you said that.
It is so good. It's brought like it's really reminded me that there are some of the queens that I just fucking love. Like Ginger Minj and Eureka, they are just both such talented performers. And a couple of weeks ago, there was a lip sync and they brought back Mayhem Miller and it was Ginger Minj who was going up and they were lip syncing to the song, I think it's called Phone by Lizzo.
Okay.
And it was where Ginger Minj really showed off like how you can do a lip sync and bring comedy into it and make it perfect. I was screaming. It was so good. And honestly, there were some queens there that are really lasting and going the distance that I just did not really pay attention to in their own season. So Trinity K. Bonet is a perfect example. The only thing I remembered about her was that she was like the one queen that ever disclosed that she had an HIV status. And not only is she an incredible, oh my God, she's doing so well. But I also love that they did a parody of the Red Table Talk series that like Jada Pinkett Smith and Willow Smith and I think her mom or whatever does together. But in that, Trinity K. Bonet talks about her HIV status. And that was where I learned that you like with the right medication, it's not transmissible.
Oh,
And I just like, I love that the show is making space for things like that. So it's like, it's just continuing to be a more and more socially conscious show, but still bringing like the fashion and the pageantry and all of that of drag. You know, they had 2 trans women on this season and one of them is still there and she is doing amazing. Kylie Sonic Love, so good. So yes, I am loving that.
nice.
I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. So that I can see their notes.
There we go.
There we go. In terms of what I'm reading, so there are 2, I believe they're both indie books, and I've never read anything by either of these authors before. The first one I've only just barely started, but it still seems like it's going to be pretty fun. It's called Cinders of Yesterday by Jen Carner. It is the first in a new series, and it's about a paranormal hunter named Danny Black, and she's out for revenge because a necromancer killed her partner. Not her, I don't believe it's a romantic partner. I believe it's just a partner in paranormal hunting. And so she has to find this. She's where I'm at now. It's like, okay, she's going to find this special weapon because this necromancer is impossible to kill so far. And when she goes there, she's going to find Emily, who is supposed to be the oldest daughter from a magical family. I am assuming that she will be a love interest. The thing I wasn't sure about at first, but I am increasingly becoming endeared on. Is that a right sentence? I don't care. I think I used that wrong, but here we are.
It's okay.
Often just like the writing feels very over the top. And it's like, I kind of like it because it's giving me the like season 1 Winona Earp vibes where, because there were times you were watching it, you're like, this feels a little bit cheesy. And then it's like,
It's a little cheesy. Yeah.
right?
But it's great. And you love it.
Yes. You just have to embrace it. And then it's amazing. And I'm feeling so much hope that this book is going to bring like that kind of vibe and that kind of fun to it. So I don't know if you'd like to read along with me. People are welcome to that.
It sounds like a video game. It sounds like one of the games you play.
It does sound like a video game. Although, I
It
mean, when you
does.
describe Winona Earp, that could be like a video game too, couldn't it?
Right. 100% could be.
Hmm. Somebody make the video game, please. I would like to
Yes.
play it.
Because Tara would totally play it. And I would
Right?
too then. Yes.
And just make sure to make it super gay, and then we'll
Oh,
make
yeah.
it an
Well,
official recommendation. That would be
right.
the thing to get you to get a Switch, wouldn't it? Right? A
Right.
Winona
It
Earp
would
video game.
100%. Yes.
All right.
So if you all want me to get a Switch, that's what you have to do is make a video game out of the Earp sisters.
No big deal,
And Nicole
right?
Hot. I know. What? 2 days worth of code? Come on.
You need to go listen to Blood, Sweat, and Pixels.
I know. I'm just teasing.
And it's like, oh, years worth of work. Oh, geez. The other book that I'm reading, I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's called Undercover Madam by J.J. Arias. I think that's how you say that. Again, I apologize. It's like today is the day that we're picking all the names that we don't know how to pronounce for things. It is an age gap employer-employee romance. I'm a little farther along in this one, very much having fun with it. So the idea is that Charlotte is an accountant. She grew up in foster care, and the only person she's ever really been close to in her life is one of her foster brothers, Jason. He's her best friend, still is. He is with the police. He's been trying to take down, there's this woman who owns and runs a spa, but the police suspect that she is using it kind of as a cover for a high-end escort business. So the kind of next best solution that they figured out is, well, they're hiring an accountant. So what if he gets Charlotte to go get that job and then pass information back? And if she does this, she's been promised by the Miami, I think it's the Miami police, that they will help her get into the FBI as a forensic accountant, which is her absolute dream. The problem, of course, is that she gets on site and meets the owner, Alexandra, and gets a lady boner immediately. Like they have this incredible immediate chemistry. They both get pants feelings right away. They haven't done anything about their pants feelings, but I think they're going to. I do not know if she actually is a madam. I don't know, like if she actually does run, like I'm not sure what is actually happening there on that point. But one of the things that I really appreciate about it is that even though she's helping Jason with the investigation and there's, the whole criminality aspect of it, it's not negative about sex work. It's not shaming the idea of sex work. I haven't come across anything like that, which I really, really love and appreciate, because if it wasn't, I don't think I'd be able to get through that. My personal feminism is highly intersectional and includes sex workers as a part of it, as well as trans women, women of color. Like, I don't want my feminism to only be standing up for women who look and are living lives like mine. So hopefully that holds, crossing both sets of fingers. Only Kris can see that because we don't release the video. But yeah, I am hopeful that I've made it about a quarter of the way into the book and it's been that way. So I don't see it taking a turn that way. So I really do appreciate that.
Good.
So Kris, what is your official recommendation this week?
Okay. My official recommendation is completely inspired by the Olympics. Okay. I decided to watch a sports movie.
Tell me more.
Okay, well, first of all, did you know that there are 160 LGBTQ athletes in the Summer Olympics? Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yes, it's a huge jump, 160.
How many athletes total are there? Like, do we know what percentage that?
I don't know what the percentage is. I didn't get that far. I was super excited to see the 160 because the last count, I think, was back in Rio, and it was like 56. They only had 56.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, that's a big difference then.
This is a big difference. So I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm into sports. Let's watch something very cool. And so I decided to watch a 2017 movie called Battle of the Sexes with Emma Stone and Steve Carell. And I'm sure right now everybody's like, boo, that's a boring movie, blah, blah, blah. It's old and irrelevant, but it really isn't. It's actually, it's still very, very important. And I think that if you have an evening, that you should watch this movie if you haven't seen it, because
what is it about? I don't even remember this.
Okay, well, I will read to you the movie blurb. I'll call it the blurb because that's what I have to do for books. I know it's called something else, but it's blurb. In the wake of the sexual revolution and the rise of women's movement, the 1973 tennis match between women's world champion Billie Jean King, who is played by Emma Stone, the beautiful Emma Stone, and ex-men's champ and serial hustler Bobby Riggs, played by Steve Carell, was billed as the Battle of the Sexes and became one of the most watched televised sports events of all time, reaching 90 million viewers around the world. As the rivalry between King and Riggs kicks into high gear, off-court each was fighting more personal and complex battles. The fiercely private King was not only championing for equality, but also struggling to come to terms with her own sexuality. And her friendship with Marilyn Barnett developed friendship. Quote, and Riggs, one of the first self-made media-age celebrities, wrestles with his gambling demons at the expense of his family and wife, Priscilla.
Oh, no.
Together, yeah, I know that. We'll get into that. Together, Billie and Bobby serve up a cultural spectacle that resonates far beyond the tennis court, sparking discussions in bedrooms and boardrooms that continue to reverberate today. So, first of all, Emma Stone. Enough said.
Beautiful.
But the cast is actually really, really good. Steve Carell does a fantastic job playing Bobby Riggs, and Elizabeth Shue plays his wife, right?
Oh, whoa.
Yes.
I didn't know she was still acting.
Yes. And Alan Cumming is in it. He's like he used to be a tennis player, but he also is the fashion designer for the Women's League. Oh, and Bill Pullman.
That's a great cast.
Yeah, it's Sarah Silverman's in it too. It's like a fantastic cast.
Yeah.
So I saw it when it was back in 2017. I saw it and I was like, yeah, it's cool. All right, I'll watch this. But watching it now, 4 years later, after all the shitstorm that has been going on in my country, like it definitely is worth watching. So the movie starts off with Billie Jean. She just wins Women's World Champion, the title. She just wins it, and she finds out that she's only getting paid 1/8 of what the men are getting paid. 1/8. And so she's like, screw this, I'm gonna make my own tournament. We're gonna like start our own league. We don't need you men. And so she's fighting for equality, for women's equality, and it's early 70s. And women in the 70s were treated horribly. And it's not like they're, we've moved, we've grown, we've gotten a lot more, or at least we've closed the gap, but we're not there yet. And it's really obvious by watching something in the past to see just how bad and how far we've come as women. And like she's fighting with equality, and then she's trying to figure out her own sexuality. She's married. She has this gorgeous, I want to say, just really supportive husband, and he's like in the tennis world too. And he used to, I don't know if he used to play or if he's just in charge of like all these different tournaments or what. He has a big role in tennis is basically it. And he kind of stumbles in on Billie Jean kind of hooking up with the hairdresser. And so he's just kind of like, he doesn't really, it's not a negative reaction. And I'm really, really surprised. And so he kind of approaches her and he's like, look, tennis is is Billie's number one love, and we're second. So he kind of accepts it, sort of in a way. So she's trying to figure out, Billie Jean's trying to figure out her own sexuality during this time. She knows she's attracted to women, but there's, she's fighting this whole tennis world. So what's his face? Bobby is trying to goad her into playing Battle of the Sexes. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to stoop. I'm not going to do this as a circus type thing, because he's real flamboyant and he's like really like in your face. Women suck, not women suck, but he's like, women are inferior, blah blah blah. And so she's not taking the bait. She's like, no, I don't have time for this. This is a serious thing for me. Obviously it's not for you. So he actually convinces this other woman who actually beats Billie Jean and becomes first, number one seed player. Her name is Margaret Court. And so she actually plays the first Battle of the Sexes. And she just gets smeared, creeped all over. She's just like, it did not go well.
Isn't she the terrible homophobic Australian player? She is Australian. But doesn't she pop up in the news every so often now for being so disgustingly homophobic?
I don't know. And there was only one line in the movie. She only gives one line where she's just kind of like, yeah, we know about you type thing. So she's like homophobic, but not like That wasn't even that's not even the story. You know what I mean? It's one of those where, because, she was fighting so much. She's fighting the people, she's on this team with, she's fighting women in the league, and so, anyway, so Margaret does this, she loses. And what's interesting is that, Billie Jean says, don't do this. He's only going to make a mockery of women's tennis. Don't do this. And she's like, she does it for the money. So she's like, I'm just going to do it because I'm going to beat him. And she doesn't. And so the announcers are just jerks. And these are like the real announcers. I mean, they're not the real announcers, but they're like, this is how they talked back then. And so it's like my quotes for movies, and this one is just like horrible quotes. Like, I'm trying, like, face it, she just can't handle Bobby's game. The thing with women is that they find it hard to consistently handle the pressure. They're not built for it. Maybe now it'll stop the women from demanding more money than men. They aren't in the same game. It's a man's game. This is an easy triumph against motherhood and mother and women's liberation. It's like people said this out loud
gross.
On television. Gross. So then Bobby wins, and he's like, "Hey, look at me! I'm the number 1 seed women's tennis player because I just won." And he goes, "And I will put out $100,000 for anybody who can beat me." So of course, Billy's like, "Now I got to do this. Now I got to do this." The interesting thing about all of this is that, he's actually, he would be like a social media, like he would be on social media all the time. If this was taking place in today's time, that's all he does. He promotes himself. He's such a big self-promoter. And here's the catch. Like, the whole thing about this is that his wife supports him. She comes from wealth. And so he's dogging women left and right, but she's opening up her purse to support him for everything. He has like bad gambling habits and stuff like this, but she loves him because he makes her laugh. Anyway, so he like during all of this beginning of the lead up to it, he does all this mockery of tennis, and he doesn't like try to work hard at it. He's actually a really good tennis player. Like, he's won Wimbledon, he's won a bunch of stuff, he's number 1. So he's like, I love women. I love them in the bedroom and then in the kitchen. And I'm going to put an end to this women's crap once and for all, this women's lib crap. Like, so he's just like a jerk. Like, the whole time he's a jerk. And here's the thing, and I don't know if this is real or not. So I didn't look into this, but they had interviewed at the time, and during this 1973 Battle of the Sexes, they actually interviewed celebrities. And so they played those clips back.
Oh, so that's very interesting.
And they looked like they were young. And I can't imagine that maybe it was like great,
Was it Jane Fonda telling that guy to go fuck himself?
Well, actually, they had, what's his name? Ricardo Montalban. Remember from Fantasy Island? Yeah. So he's like, "Oh, I'm rooting for, Bobby Riggs, man muscle." And he's like, in front of the thing. And even Chris Everett, she was young. She's like, "I'm rooting for Bobby Riggs." Well, she didn't say I'm rooting. She's like, "I think Bobby Riggs is going to win." So like nobody was picking Billie Jean to like come out and really do this great thing. Obviously she wins. Yes. Like, that's the whole thing. She wins. And right before the game, a reporter says, they're all chasing after her before she goes onto the court. And he's like, "Men are better. End of story." And she turns around. She's like, "I'm not saying women are better. I never said that. We deserve some respect. Is your father better than your mother just because he's a man?" So like there's constant battle, and it's like so gross to watch this, because like Howard Cosell is like, he's on there and he's talking to a reporter, and he's got his arm around her, like smoking cigarettes, and like, "Hey babe, tell us about this." And it's like, just that happened, and it wasn't that long ago that women were looked down upon so horribly. So why people should watch this? It's just it's so important to see how far women have come and the shit show that they've had to deal with, and still deal with the fight for equality. And it's I cringed at all of the men in this movie acting superior, and I remember just being sexualized when I first started working, in the workforce. Like, men were just the way I looked and my hair and stuff. So now here's what they get at my work. They get no makeup. They get my hair back in a bun. And I like nobody has ever seen past my collarbone at work. Like, I just, because of like just growing up when I did, and just seeing everything and knowing everything, it's so frustrating. But we've come a long way, but we have still we have tons to go. We still have so much more to go. And this movie just really pulls you into it, and it makes you realize that yes, we've come far, but we have so much further to go. There. Whew, that was exhausting.
It sounds excellent and infuriating.
Yes,
all
it
at the
was.
same time.
But you have the peace of mind knowing that we really have come a long way since then. You will cringe at like just how the reporters and the announcers are just biggest assholes ever. And they're just so mean about women and to women without any consequences. Now you can't say any of that. I mean, lawsuits, you'll lose your job, good things.
Yeah. Although it was interesting hearing about that against the backdrop of, seeing like with the Olympics about, what was it? The Norwegian women's, was it volleyball
they
team?
did they wouldn't do the bikini. Yeah.
They got fined for wearing shorts instead of bikini bottoms, which is like, well, that's 100% rooted in misogyny.
Right.
And I recently listened to a book called Work Won't Love You Back by Sarah Jaffe, which was very good. I thought it was going to be a book about how to create better boundaries between like yourself and your work and your work life. Because I thought after laziness doesn't exist, that would be a perfect follow-on, right?
Right.
That's not what it's about at all. At all. It's like industry by industry, the reason why people are overworked and underpaid, and like what is the historical reasons behind it, what are the systemic things that continue into today. Some of it was really interesting seeing about how like the culture around retail workers and teachers actually come up from a very similar place of like, oh, we're going to have mostly women do them. It's a caring profession. They're caring people. They should be willing to do it for less money. But there's a section on sports, and the author interviews, I think she was like the head of the US women's hockey team at the Olympics at some point or something. I don't know. She's the one who there's a couple, and like one of them was on the American team and one of them was on the Canadian team. And I think the lesbian community went nuts when we found out about him a couple of years ago. They interviewed her, the American one. But talking about how like professional NHL, these men make a shit ton of money, but to be a professional women's hockey player, very similar to professional women's soccer, we're even actually like in previous Olympics, in other big soccer events, this is where it's like a sports ball. I don't know anything about sports. But we're like, people are actually more excited about the US women's team for soccer than they are about the men's. And they just make so much less money. And so it's kind of one of those like, yeah, we have come so far, but we still have so far to go.
Right. Agreed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's sad. And it's with every sport. It's unreal. I mean, and one thing Billie Jean said, which she's like, look at the stands. We're bringing in just as many spectators, to this sport as the men are. And like, oh, it's not true. It's very frustrating, but at the same time, there's like at the very end, you're like, yes. and don't Google about don't Google anything else about the movie.
I wasn't going to.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so then I'm like, okay, well, how true is this? And I read Billie Jean was really involved in this, and she said she would only do it if there was the sexuality, a storyline was added to it. Oh, so good. That was kind of cool. Yeah. So she really pushed for that. But then later, like in, I don't know, 2014, somebody said, oh, the mob rigged it. Like it was rigged. The mob did something. They are responsible for it. But I don't believe it.
Did they? Or is that just people being jerks because they don't like the idea that a woman won?
I'm going to go with that one. That's what I'm going with. But I was like, come on. But then again, anything online, you can find anything, whether it's true or not, online. So I'm going to go with it's not true. And she beat him. And she's awesome. And I love tennis. And I thought this was a good movie.
Very good.
So I've talked enough. What about you? What is your big recommendation for this week?
This is the book that I was reading last time. My recommendation for this week is Covenant by Anne McMan. And like I was saying last time, it is the 4th book in the Jericho series. And so for anybody that didn't listen to the last episode, I'll give you a teeny weeny catch up. I know, but it's possible. It's possible. And for people who did listen, thank you for bearing with me as I'm going to say a thing you just heard me say last time. But It's the fourth book in the series, but I think this is one of the most interesting series that I've ever read because it started as a romance. The first book is very much a traditional, very lovely lesbian romance. Friends to lovers, you watch the friendship develop and then the romance develop. Very quirky, quite long in terms of like lesfic romances. So if you're looking for like really good bang for your buck, go get Jericho. It's a good one for that. But then the second book, Aftermath, is a general fiction. The series does not stay romance. And that's when like a tornado whips through town. What do they do in the aftermath of that? It's very, very comedic. A lot of great things happen there. The next one is Goldenrod, and it gets a little bit darker. And it was published 4 years ago. So it would have been Trump was president at that point for about a year. And you kind of see some of those politics creeping into the town. The mayor is a bigot who, it's one of those towns where there's a lot of gay people in it, even though it's like a tiny something Virginia isolated town.
Right.
I mean, like as we find in our lesfic series where you're like, how many lesbians work at this hospital?
I know.
It's not unlike that, but still like works for me. I'm quite happy with it. And it's Maddie and Sid. Why did it take me that long? Oh my god. But yeah, so it's like Maddie and Sid are the main couple. There's Roma Jean Fremantle's she's a teenager who lives in the town and she gets a girlfriend in that book. David is Maddie's best friend and he's been married to Michael forever. But the mayor is very homophobic, going after undocumented immigrants in the community. Pretty horrible. The book ends with him being found dead at the end of the 4th of July picnic. And so now with Covenant is where it picks up. I don't know for sure if you can read it as a standalone. I think you probably could. And it would probably be fine. But I would say for anybody who's really wondering, and you're at all inclined, go back and read all the other ones because you will definitely enjoy it more if you've read it. But I just don't think it's necessarily an impediment if you haven't read it. But it basically opens, it's 6 weeks later, and there's an investigation going on to try to find out, okay, how did he die? And so one of the most brilliant things about the construction of this book is each chapter, except for I think the last one or two, actually starts with someone from town being interviewed by the police about the events of that night. Cool. Uh-huh. And it alternates between what they say out loud and what they're thinking. And you never actually get the voice of the interviewer, and you don't need it because there's enough context in what they're saying for you to be able to follow the line of questioning. But what I love is how you see the difference between what people choose to say and what they keep concealed because it's what they feel about it. And that tension between like, what do people conceal and what do they reveal is something that I've seen numerous times across Anne McMan's books. It's a major, major theme in Backcast. Absolutely love that book. And I loved seeing that again here because it also shows that like when you put them all together, everyone is relieved that this guy is dead just because he's terrible. And the thing that you see in the town, like I would say of all the other books in this series that it's probably the most like Goldenrod. And it kind of continues with that, following some difficult themes. There's more homophobia in this book because this guy, Gerald Watson, who is the mayor, brings that Trump element into play. Not that I actually even necessarily think that Trump himself is homophobic. I think he's too opportunistic to have strong feelings either way. He's just going to express whatever the people he's talking to believes about it. But in this way, so maybe this guy is more like Mike Pence per se, who I do believe is very earnest in his homophobia. I believe he means it very, very much. But having somebody like Watson in charge of the town for so long has really emboldened some of the like highly religious people to really like speak their minds about their homophobia and to feel like they can do it without repercussion. And so you see these effects of like, it's kind of like Trump's America in this one tiny town. And how do they deal with that? Because all the characters that we've grown to know and love are either queer or they're queer allies. And how do they kind of like find their way in this new world and how do they make peace in it? The other thing that I really thought was handled really, really beautifully is that, each book kind of has its own theme or its own thing that it's really digging into. And I think in this one, it really is the idea of fatherhood, relationships with fathers, which then you can really extend to overall all the patriarchy. And so we see, there are some good dads in this book, thank goodness, and in the series. So we see like Roma Jean, she was the teenager that I said got a girlfriend in the last book. And we see her dad stand up for her and how she just, right? Like it's so sweet. And then we see James, who is the father of Henry. Henry is the little boy that Maddie and Sid are raising, but they still want James. Like James basically, it's a long ass story, but basically he's still involved in their lives, but he's asked if they can raise his son. And they're very happily doing so. But like seeing this dad who is still finding a way to be a part of his son's life in a really positive way, but while making sure he has the best life he can with these two women raising him. And then you see these other dads that are fucking horrible. Horrible. And so there's like a dad who blows back into town that like he had beaten the hell out of his queer daughter when she was a teenager. And it's like, what is he trying to do now? Is he actually trying to rebuild in good faith, or is he trying to do something else that's awful? We do hear about fathers who sexually abuse their children. Now, I want to be really clear about this, though. It's never described. There are never details provided at all. You just learn that. I mean, I had a very strong suspicion about the one character that it applies to. I was very surprised about the other character. I don't think pleasantly surprised is the right way to put it, because I would never kind of wish that on anybody.
Right.
But I appreciated that in sharing that it's a reminder that sexual abuse doesn't only happen to little girls, like, because it kind of goes into the history of one of the characters. And so ultimately, why I recommend this book, even though it does have a lot of difficult subject matter, is that I found it very cathartic to read. Like, we've all been going through a lot of difficult things. And even if you take away the pandemic, like just the effects that Trump has had definitely on the US, but I mean, that has extended to so many other countries. And even in countries where, I mean, like Canada, we very much have felt a lot of that anxiety on behalf of our American friends and family. And then you see those politics going into other places like Australia and Hungary. And I mean, frankly, even my province within Canada, I found it really affirming and good to see where things land at the end. Because it's not like everything is perfect. I mean, the town is still going to have challenges. No, it's not.
Right.
But the way it turns out feels right. Like the scales are balanced enough for everybody to be able to move forward meaningfully. And so I don't know that there's actually going to, for anybody wondering, because every so often I get asked if I know if there are going to be more books in the series at any given time. I think as people know that I'm a gigantic Anne McMan fangirl. I don't know that there's going to be one. I did see her say on Facebook that it's likely the last one. I would be content if it ended here. It feels like a fitting end, and that everybody is going to be okay and they're making their way in the world. I mean, I would not be opposed to reading more stories in this world. I would pick them up for sure in a heartbeat. But I just felt like, kind of like you felt about the last season of Winona Earp when I asked you, like, did they do it justice?
Right.
I feel like Anne McMan did it justice.
Do you still feel sad, though? Like, are you sad about it? Or like you're saying goodbye to something that's, you've been on this journey for so many years?
Yeah, you know what? I don't, because it's wrapped up
Oh, perfect. Good. I like that.
just the right way. Like, it's so fitting. And I mean, yeah, I would love to see, especially like, I would love to see a future book for Dorothy, because Dorothy is actually the daughter of the mayor. And so after he's dead, she has to go live somewhere because her mom's been dead for years. And she goes to live with Maddie's mother, Celine. And Celine takes her, she's been teaching her piano and she really loves piano. And she takes her to New York City to go see somebody performing. I cannot remember the famous piano person that they're performing. But anyway, to see this like really incredible classical music performance. And she's so moved and she's so energized to be in the city that I just immediately could imagine this whole world in which this 14-year-old girl grows up and maybe she goes to New York. I don't know. Maybe she goes to Juilliard. Maybe she goes to university. Something.
Maybe she goes to school there.
Yeah. But like I can just see it now. Just because I can see it does not mean that the author can see it. Every so often,
and can you see it?
Right? I don't know. Every so often, I'll just throw a thing out there that I'm like, and I usually do in reviews, and I'm like, I wouldn't mind seeing a book about this character. And once in a while, authors do it, and I don't think it's just because I do it, but I have to think it doesn't hurt that I've put the energy out in the universe. So perhaps I'm putting a little bit of energy out in the universe, and we will see what the universe comes back with. That is all for this episode.
I was putting it out there.
Right?
I was. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
No, that is all for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us, for sticking with us as we got silly as we do.
We did.
On Monday nights. If you've enjoyed this episode, please, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts. So you'll always get notified when we release a new episode. If you have a friend that you think would like Queerly Recommended, please just let them know about it.
Or if you want to connect with us on social media, just search for us at Queerly Recommended on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of that. Twitter, everywhere. I said that. Everywhere. Or just email us at podcast@queerlyrecommended.com. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Let's see how long this was.
Yeah, it was 1,000 hours.
It's a long one. It's almost an hour and a half.
Well, half the stuff we can stop for, like, I went on and on about Battle of the Sexes because, by the way,
you have a lot to say about which?
Battle of the Sexes.
Oh, good. Good. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
There's a lot going on, and I saw it the first time. I saw it when it came out because I was like, who wants to watch this movie? You know what I'm saying? It was one of those where it's like, Emma Stone, cool, I'll watch it because of that. So, but watching it with like a mission, sort of, in a way, it hit me so differently than it did in 2017. But we'll talk about that too.
I'm looking forward to hearing it. So you're good to kick everything off. Is the text big enough? Do you want me to make it any bigger?
I'm good.
Wow. I'm trying to be conscientious. This is how we know that one of us does 20 hours of Zoom meetings a week and one of us does not.
Yeah, that would be, I'm fine. It's fine. I can read it.
Neil, if you do listen to this part, Kris just gave me double middle fingers for that.
Double, not just one. Normally feisty me is one.
That's
you got two.
Super feisty.
Super double feisty.
Oh my God. All right. Well, you get started whenever you feel ready.
Okay. All right.
Oh, wait. Pull your microphone a little bit away from your, say some words with T's and P's in them.
Toilet paper.
Okay.
Paper.
Yeah, that's not so bad. It was doing that. It was doing the like. Yeah, it was doing that before.
Damn, I'm like all weird. Okay, here we go.
It's a Monday. This season, so that I learned more about it. I think you might be frozen. Are you frozen?
You're frozen.
Nope. I'm unfrozen. But you're frozen.
Check, baby. 1, 2, 3.
No, your sound is coming through there now. All right. I just had to change it. Reset.
Oh, okay.
It reset my microphone and the audio coming back to me so that it would have gone through my laptop instead of this beautiful microphone.
That's true. Please sing something in it.
No.